We must face and heal our traumas. Otherwise, we are doomed for an endless cycle of generational trauma on a society and worldwide scale. If you have been, like me, depressed about the state of the world and wondering why is it all going wrong and what you and I can do about it, we do have something that we can do, and ultimately I believe it's the most important thing that we all have to do, and that is healing our childhood traumas. I don't think the world has been entirely honest to us about how important it is to have had healthy childhoods, and if we haven't had healthy childhoods, how important it is for us to do the work to heal what we went through. To show you my thought process, you have a child and they've been abused and they've been traumatized. If they do not have the resources, or if they don't go through the process of healing those wounds growing up, they become a traumatized adult. Traumatized adults project their traumas onto the world, and more importantly, onto their families. Where you have a traumatized adult who gets married and have children, they project their traumas onto their children, who end up becoming traumatized children who grew up to be traumatized adults. Now, you have a generational loop of traumatized children who grew up to become traumatized adults who project their trauma onto their children. And it happens over and over again. And then it happens on a society scale, where ultimately, in the society of families with generational trauma loops, you have families that produce traumatized adults who become world leaders, who become presidents, and they make policies in which they are projecting their traumas onto their policies, punishing entire societies with them. You have traumatized adults who work in government and also have high positions of power. You have traumatized adults who become rich and amass fortunes, and they use that power and influence to project their trauma on society. On a local level, you have teachers, dentists, aunties, uncles who are also traumatized, and they project that trauma onto children and onto other people, onto families, and onto society. And so now you just have societies that are filled with traumatized and emotionally unstable people, which explains the volatility that we live in today. We just have a bunch of emotionally unstable, childhood traumatized people running around calling the shots on things, and also on a community level, people who are enabling those types of behaviors. And the only way to really address that is to heal your traumas. That's literally the only way we're going to get out of this, is healing your traumas. Yes, we can organize, but we can organize as much as we want, but if we don't deal with the root of the problem, where children are traumatized and they grow up to become adults who project that